My girlfriend told me she is pregnant, but she didn't know I'm sterile. I am from a SEA country and my first language is not English. Backstory: I got into an accident after my college and will never be able to have kids. None of my family members know of this. They know about the accident but not about this. I have always wanted to be child-free, so it did not affect me much mentally. I have finished my master's degree last year and never dated before. I got a very high-paying job directly through campus placements. My parents immediately wanted me to get married after getting a job, but I wanted to work on myself and explore a bit. They said no, and I said that it was my wish. All my life I did what they wanted, and for the first time when I talked against them, they were not happy. This was last year and they gave up after COVID started. So I picked up some dating apps and went through them, but no luck. Then my parents introduced me to a family friend's daughter and we clicked kinda. Looking back, I was a fool. She said yes to anything I said and never complained about anything. I felt kinda weird about it. I wanted her to express her interests, but she always said she was interested in whatever I do. Well, I did not think much about it. I said that I won't have kids ever and she surprisingly said okay. I was like, damn, she is probably the one, as it is very hard to find a partner who is child-free in my country, or at least I thought. But we were in the initial stages and I have not told about my accident. Long story short, we had sex a month ago. I used condoms because safety first. The next day on, she started ghosting me a bit. I thought it was due to my performance in bed and wanted to give her some space. Then she texted infrequently and only replied okays and KS and one-line answers. I thought maybe she wanted to end the relation and was sad, but left it at that. Yesterday, all her family came to my house and she claims she's pregnant and the father is me. Needless to say, I freaked the fuck out and wanted to collapse on the ground. I did not say anything while they were talking about marriage and stuff that needs to happen because I got her pregnant. Please advise me on what steps to take now. Reddit update. Let me start off by saying I'm very grateful for all the Redditors who took their time to read and give me advice. I was overwhelmed by the amount of comments and how many of you said it might not even be my kid. Looking at it from a different perspective gave me much more insight on the whole situation. I called my boss and took today off. I called up some clinics to get tested and was given a slot on Friday afternoon. Then I went to the store and bought some pregnancy tests and asked only her to come to my place tomorrow, i.e. today morning. I also called my parents and before I said anything, my mom asked me if I had any good news. I was shocked by what she said and asked me what exactly she was talking about. She then played dumb and I knew that the situation was more fucked than I thought. I cut the call and cried all night till 3 a.m. Grown-ass man crying for the first time since 8th class. She came today morning with her parents even after I told her to come alone. They were under the impression that I was gonna discuss engagement plans with them. I told them to wait outside and called her in and they threw a fit. I told they can all go back or let her alone come in. They said okay. I took out the pregnancy tests and gave it to her and told her to prove that she was actually pregnant and told her where the bathroom was. She started screaming at me. Never done this before. I was shocked at this. Then she went out the door and called her parents in. Now everyone is screaming at me in my own home because I asked her to prove the pregnancy, not even a DNA test. I told them all to fuck off and 1 hour later my parents and they all came to my home and they spilled the beans. She was never actually pregnant, as many Redditors said. My parents were afraid that I was getting old for marriage and wanted me to marry and give them grandchildren. They said that in arranged marriages, no need for the people to actually get to know the spouse because parents choose only the best for their kids. They planned this all and were only waiting for me to have sex with her to do this. I broke down and cried again. All my life, I did exactly what my parents wanted, always scored high and never asked for anything. I told them to get out and never talk to me again in between crying, and they said parents know what's best for their kids and I should do what they say. Then I got extremely angry and told them to fuck themselves in my native language, which was very bad. For once, I think they knew I was serious with them and they all left. I blocked them all before sending my parents a message to never again contact me in my life, even if one of you is dying. Cried for some more time, went through some dog videos and went through all my messages on Reddit, and I feel like I owe you guys this update because it was you guys who helped me do this. That is all, and I hope you have a wonderful day. My girlfriend tried to throw me under the bus when the police searched my house. First, I'd like to start with some background. My girlfriend and I have been in a relationship for a bit over a year. She stays at my house about 75% of the time. We have had no major problems before this point. On Saturday night, we were watching TV in the living room, and suddenly there was loud pounding and shouting at the front door. My immediate reaction was to call the police, but after a look out the curtains, I found that it was the police. At this point I was extremely confused. I don't sell, manufacture, or use drugs. I have no firearms in the house. I do nothing illegal online. I don't even pirate Game of Thrones. I had no idea why they might have reason to be knocking on my door on a Saturday night. I opened the door and they immediately asked for permission to search the premises. I asked why they would think that was necessary, and they wouldn't answer. In turn, I refused to give them permission. My girlfriend repeatedly said I should cooperate. I said no, and told them to show me a warrant if they want to enter the house. They then informed me that they had probable cause and were searching my place no matter what I thought about the situation, and that their asking was only a formality. The first thing they did after entering my house was pull my girlfriend and I into separate rooms and begin questioning us. I kept demanding they show me a warrant, but apparently warrants aren't even a thing anymore because probable cause can be literally anything when your local PD is backwater and shitty enough. I refused to answer any questions. I told them I wanted a lawyer if I was under arrest. I repeated that I did not consent to any searches of my property and repeatedly asked what their probable cause was, that there was nothing readily apparent, thank you Breaking Bad, and that they had no right to strip me of my privacy. My girlfriend, on the other hand, talked a lot. I didn't hear much because she was in the next room, but I overheard her say this: "You should check the backyard shed. I've never been in there before and I can't say what's in it." At the time I could only think, what the fuck is she doing? Well, the police checked the shed, and found nothing. Again, I'm not a criminal, and an hour plus hundreds of questions later left. At that point I asked why in the world she would try to help them find criminal activity in my house, and she could only answer that she panicked and didn't know what to do. I don't need legal advice. My mother is a paralegal and knows a lot of good attorneys. She's furious about the police conduct, and she doesn't even know what my girlfriend said to them yet. I'm incredibly angry at my girlfriend for saying something so unbelievably moronic, but all she can respond to me with is, "I panicked and didn't know what to do." What I need more than anything is another perspective on why a person would throw their S/O under the bus like that. Does this seem like something that can be worked through, or is this just a huge red flag? TLDR: cops searched my house without a warrant, and during the search, girlfriend seemingly tried to incriminate me with a random tip. In the comments, King TC: "Damn, this sounds super weird." It does, however, kinda depend on what they told her. If they'd said something like, "We believe he has X in the house, and if we find it without you telling us, you'll be in trouble too." Now, I'd be disappointed if anyone I knew, loved, and respected ratted me out to the cops, especially if I hadn't actually done anything wrong, but it really does depend what they said. As per your description, they don't sound like the best police force in the world. They could have said literally anything to her. Some people also turn to jelly when they see blue lights and a shiny badge. I have a friend who had a 20 bag hidden in his boxers and was stopped by the cops, asking for directions. Instead of just giving them the direction and moving on, he owned straight up to having the 20 bag. Don't automatically assume she knew she was ratting you out or even thought about what she was doing. OOP, this is what I honestly have in mind now. I can't buy that she was malicious. It really seems like she was just scared. GNG, why the hell does everyone assume she called? You people are all gonna break your arms reaching that far. I really wish people would comment based on the actual story, rather than making up extra parts because it sounds more exciting in their heads. Maybe she did and maybe she didn't, but there is not one damn thing in the original post to give any indication she called the police. OOP, yeah, I think if she wanted to frame me, there would be 1,000 easier ways than calling the police and then sending them in a wild goose chase into a shed with rakes and shit. PLSBPTNT have autism. Did you ever find out what they wanted, or even if they had the right house? OOP, not a clue. I'd ask a lot of questions, but I don't want the cops in my area to start harassing me. Update. Hey everyone, due to legal reasons and other life obligations, I decided against updating my opening post until it was safe to do so. I got a lot of incredibly useful information and advice from it, and for that I am truly grateful. I will link that post below, but in lieu of the new rules, I have created a new account for this update. I will respond to this with my old one just to verify my identity. 1. My girlfriend and I aged a year. I am now 30 and she is now 25. This was about as much as could be expected. 2. The tip that the police received did not come from my girlfriend. This was a giant clusterfuck. About a year before I met my current girlfriend, I was sort of kind of seeing a 35-year-old woman. Our relationship was primarily physical in nature, but she wanted me to drop everything and move in with her. Just about everyone I knew was telling me that there was something off about her, but I thought they were judging her for her age. Then one night when we had a fight, she chugged half a bottle of cognac and I had to call an ambulance because she was completely unresponsive. I ghosted her after this and had to ignore her pounding on my door several times. I went to the police station about a week after they raided me to file a formal complaint. I had consulted a lawyer and he advised me that it would be a good first step if I were going to take legal action. When I filed the complaint, I tried to get information on who falsely accused me of a crime that warranted a raid without a warrant, but they wouldn't budge. My lawyer told me as much. 6 months after the raid, I heard through the grapevine that my ex-FWB/GF called the police to inform them that I was cooking crystal meth in my basement. I only learned about this because a mutual friend who my ex had recently confided in spilled the beans. I figured out soon thereafter that she had seen me with my current girlfriend somewhere, and decided I must have been cheating on her when we were still together. A year earlier, she exacted her revenge by getting me swatted. I went to the police station to file a report against her, but the person at the front desk essentially laughed me out of the building. When I consulted my lawyer, he told me that it was pointless to even bother, maybe with a better PD and in a better city. 3. I was advised against trying to sue the PD. More specifically, my lawyer told me that I could sue if I wanted, but that if he were me he wouldn't. When I asked why, he said that usually if you can prove the unwarranted search were racially motivated/based on prejudice or corruption, you could, possibly, win, but the police screwing the pooch was generally a weak reason, again, maybe against a better PD in a less backwards region. 4. My girlfriend talked. Because of previous bad experiences, I forgave my girlfriend for over-talking to the police. Many people in the original post were entirely pitchforks up, even suggesting that she called the police, and I understand why. Some people went kind of over the line and suggested that she may have planted evidence, but some were explaining that there are people who simply freeze up with the police. Knowing her, I thought this must be the case. Months after the incident, my girlfriend sat me down and let out that a police officer had molested her when she was in her teens during a routine traffic stop. He decided she needed to be searched, and used it as an excuse to feel her up. I was horrified. Before you ask, yes, I received her permission to post this detail honestly, and when you read this post, I love you so much. 5. We moved out of Buttfuckville. We live in a larger city now, and coincidentally my parents also had reason to move here too. Her parents are originally from elsewhere in the country, but we are closer to them now too. One last little happy note is that we are getting married next year, and we are both incredibly excited about starting our lives together.